So, this is a big one for us.
Not so big we can't see the strings, so to speak.
But this was the first Spielberg we ever saw.
My memory of it is of seeing it in theaters, but really the only thing I know for sure is that I dreamt about this movie for days and days.
Dinosaurs. You're a kid and you see dinosaurs. And they trick you. They look real.
What else do you need?
So, how do you make a childhood classic?
Something that basically still works to this day, warts and all.
Wheeling uniform direction changes, just like a flock of birds evading a predator.
They're flocking this way.
First thing to say, he and director of photography Dean Cundey have adopted an odd strategy.
Perhaps because this movie was meant to be for the extremely young and you couldn't scare kids too badly, everything in this movie is pushed an f-stop up. Stadium lighting almost everywhere.
Even still, an effective use of lots of close-ups in this opening scene, something altogether new for Spielberg.
The first clue that he's aware that the modern attention span was shrinking, but also trying to preserve mystery in a new way.
And to give a new and more cynical generation of kids something they could chew on.
What 90s kid doesn't love dinosaurs? What kid doesn't want to know how to outsmart them as they ate dozens of people? You know, adults.
Gatekeeper!
Joffrey, raise the gate.
This movie has, of course, maybe the most famous instance of Spielberg's patented "we see it before they do" shot.
Which he needed, because it was absolutely true that this technology, fresh out of the womb, was unlike anything anyone had ever seen before.
It's funny to think that he made the dolly synonymous with discovery for a whole new generation of moviegoers. Though, of course, it's not like we all just sit around talking about that.
Well, we do.
Yeah, but we're really cool.
This species of Variformin's been extinct since the Cretaceous period. I mean, this thing is about this thing. What?
It's a dinosaur.
But also the reverse of this is that during scenes of discovery of horror, of the end of a party is also met with the same movement, because as Jeff Goldblum tells us, discovery is a violent act.
It's an impact tremor is what it is. I'm fairly alarmed here.
In hindsight, the increased light made this age poorly in a way that the stuff with the Tyrannosaurus, for instance, didn't. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
The big touchstones here are John Ford's Mogambo and Howard Hawks' Hatari, of course, so we get his usual gaggles of onlookers and involved persons in just about every conversation scene.
This even has what appears to be genuinely spontaneous conversation, which is a welcome sound.
Spielberg's definition of spontaneity had grown fairly staid in the years since his early movies, with too much planning going into a shot or a joke or a scene or a punchline to allow things to develop a natural rhythm.
Yeah, and hiring this cast was a wise choice, because they can bob and weave past each other and have precise emotional reactions in time for the camera to dolly in and find them.
Cheetah speed, 50, 60 miles per hour if they ever got out in the open. And they're astonishing jumpers.
Yes. That's why we're taking extreme precautions. The viewing area...
Do they show intelligence? With the brain cavity?
They show extreme intelligence, even problem-solving intelligence, especially the big one. We bred 8 originally, but when she came in, she took over the pride and killed all but 2 of the others. That one, when she looks at you, you can see she's working things out. That's why we have to feed them like this. She had them all attacking the fences when the feeders came.
The fences are electrified, though, right?
That's right, but they never attacked the same place twice. They were testing the fences for weaknesses systematically. They remember.
Look at the way that after the initial revelation that this is that John Hammond, the lunatic billionaire in this dolly shot, Laura Dern's slowly making her way around a tiny space, the dust on her and Sam Neill's outfits, which are specifically color-coded to separate them from the earth tones of the kitchen so that they stand out even more starkly from Hammond's white suit and blend in with the messiness of the kitchen, isolated by shot, reverse shot to make sure we don't ever join them in our heads, so their reaction to the good news hits them like a ton of bricks, but also separating his sense of the possible from their sense of the provable.
It's just, the whole movie in a few minutes.
Also, dig Laura Dern's body language. This performance always reminded me of my mom growing up, just real human stuff.
Yeah, Laura Dern in this sort of became the de facto intelligent, cool woman in movies for me. She reminded me of my mom, too, which is hilarious because she's, 25 in this? It's hilarious how you view people older than you when you're a kid.
Yeah, everybody's a million years old.
Both of you. I can tell instantly about people. It's a gift. I own an island off the coast of Costa Rica. I've leased it from the government, and I've spent the last 5 years setting up a kind of biological preserve. Really spectacular, spared no expense. Make the one I've got down in Kenya look like a petting zoo. And there's no doubt our attractions will drive kids out of their minds.
What are those?
Small versions of adults, honey.
And not just kids, everyone. We're going to open next year, that is if the lawyers don't kill me first. I don't care for lawyers, do you?
We
Don't really know any.
Well, I do, I'm afraid. There's a particular pebble in my shoe, represents my investors. Says that they insist on outside opinions.
What kind of opinions?
Well, your kind, not to put too fine a point on it. I mean, let's face it, in your particular field, you're the top minds. And if I could just persuade you to sign off on the park, give it your endorsement, maybe even pen a wee testimonial, I could get back on schedule.
Why would they care what we think?
What kind of park is this?
It's right up your alley. I tell you what, why don't you come down, just the pair of you, for the weekend? I'd love to have an opinion of a paleobotanist as well. I've got a jet standing by at Giotto.
Absolutely indelible. I mean, the next time we see them, Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Richard Attenborough are on the same side of the helicopter because they feel even more isolated from the lawyer and the horn dog scientist. Every scene's blocking is pointed.
After we've been introduced to the dinosaurs, the best stuff starts.
Not the dinosaurs, of course, the lengthy conversations about ethics. The stuff that dreams are made of. Don't get me wrong, this shot in particular is still, the most beautiful thing in the world, to me, just as it was when I was a kid. Just so rich and full of possibility, and the score swelling, I'm only human. This, too, might as well just be my childhood dreams rendered in wallpaper, But the reason I rewatched this is all the other stuff.
Yeah, this is certainly the scene we quote the most.
And how?
The lighting here is so funny because the movie so often just looks exactly like the thing it's meant to be sort of satirizing, like a theme park introduction video.
It's also one of those impossible sets. I guess they just have slideshows going during boardroom lunches here at this amusement park.
Who is this room for? High rollers? Jurassic Park high rollers?
We've extended you a line of credits, sir. The reason, of course, is to have the light change whenever they need to, a shot. They're all mediums and close-ups to have new personality.
Yeah, we love the literalness of this one, where he shushes the lawyer, and then in the next shot, Goldblum literally steals the shot from him because now he's calling the shots, saying shots a lot.
Shots.
And then when we come back around to face him as he shushes the lawyer.
Yeah, I know. They're a lot worse.
Now, wait a second. Now, we haven't even seen the part where they
Don't let him talk. There's no reason. No, I want to hear every viewpoint. I really do.
Yeah, don't you see the danger, John, inherent in what you're doing here? Genetic power is the most awesome force the planet's ever seen, but you wield it like a kid that's found his dad's gun.
It's hardly appropriate to start hurling generalizations.
If I may, I'll tell you the problem with the scientific power that you're using here. It didn't require any discipline to attain it.
And of course, this performance is just peak 90s acting. Goldblum sounds like my uncle in this, too. You can see why I have such a weird relationship to this movie.
Couple your experience with mine, which is watching this film and Independence Day on repeat as a kid, and I think I owe Jeff Goldblum credit as a third parent.
It just sounds fascinating, because Emmerich and Spielberg and Michael Bay, these guys all start talking to each other in their movies. We dig into this a little at the end of history, the blockbuster arms race that was thrilling while it was happening and unfortunately kind of destroyed American movies.
The changing of the slides is a little mirror of the editing of the scene. This image can go there, this one there.
Wild to think that the first person to ever try some of this stuff was the guy who was just going to get it the most right.
Anyone less showy wouldn't have made a movie people flocked to see.
If you handed this to me, my whole movie would have been boardroom discussions. Like, you never would have gone to the park at all. It would have just been people like, throwing papers around and, that would
Boffo box office right there.
I can... not iconic shit like this.
Dollying with a child's small legs to introduce an enormous damn dinosaur.
Dollying under a huge dinosaur's legs to see a small child.
If you ignore the physics, the movie's easier to stomach.
But, I mean, this is the one.
Night vision gives us the privileged sight of the goat bait gone bad.
Quick look into Ariana Richardson's horrified eyes, and then we pan up for the jump scare, Dollying on Joe Mazzello.
Go.
Slowly go from inside the car outside to get our first real glimpse of this monster, looking as real as any dinosaur has ever looked.
Lawyer reacts in terror, giving us permission to believe our eyes.
Thunder and lightning, rain covering all the special effects.
Terrified looks from the experts.
Camera always where it needs to be to play havoc with perspective and distance.
Ignore the physics.
Are those heavy? And they were expensive. Put them back. Can't be said enough how good this damn robot is.
Sound design absolutely wonderful.
belief, but no matter. Jeff Goldblum fogging up the windshield is a little acceptable gloating.
Remarkable what they managed to get into the same shot during this sequence.
And there it is. The camera manages to seem like it's always in the right place for the right image, despite the fact that they shot so much of this without any clue how they were going to render these effects.
But it wouldn't matter if we didn't have these moments where you can quietly reflect on the folly of it all.
As must, of course, have been the case with Spielberg, Jurassic Park opened the door to a new era of blockbuster filmmaking, something we're sure he didn't fully grasp the significance of at the time.
He broke barriers his way, but something broken like that can't ever be fixed, and you can't control when escapes, when the power is out and the fences are down.